Hello and welcome back. As you can see, I've finally got a different model out, a diesel for a change. That's R.751, quite a long running model, although this one I think it dates from probably the later 70s. It has the ring-filled motor and it's certainly in a late 70s box. I'm not sure when they changed over from the motor buggy. I think it's probably 77 from the old Triang type motor buggy, but we'll have a look at her running in a little while, but I'll just have a quick run through of what I've done on the railway. And it's been about 2 weeks, I think, since I last made a video, and I was just indicating at the end of the last video that I was going to rework this area and do something a little bit more practical with it perhaps. And I've begun to reroute the catenary. As in the last video I indicated I'd run into problems I hadn't anticipated with these double tracks running quite so close together. I wouldn't be able to run the masts on the inside around the curves. It'll run on the straights, but it was never going to work, and I hadn't really thought that through quite as well as I could have. Lack of planning, but this sort of layout isn't, there's not a great deal of planning gone on with this one, I have to admit. It's just all good fun. So here I've taken away there was another curved point in there, and I've removed that. I've still got a crossover from one line to the other via this spur and run into the station, but I've added these two quite long sidings here, which I'm quite pleased with, and they're running all the way down there. And I was planning to have an engine shed in here, so I think I had that Y point running the other way. Still haven't got an engine shed on the layout yet, but I'm sure we'll get around to it at some point. So I've got a crossover in here. I can't actually remember, without going back and looking at the video, whether I had that crossover in there or not. I think I may have. Poor memory. So if we have a look, that's looking fairly impressive across there now. I'm having great fun with it too. No permanent wiring as yet, and no point motors in. Itching to get some point motors in there. And if you look over in the distance there, you can see the beginnings of an incline section there. I've got it running right the way around there into the corner of the room, and we're just stopping at the point where we really must get a bridge in there, I think. So as I said, there's no permanent wiring. I haven't fully decided where these controllers are going to be. So we've just got makeshift power clips in here, there, and wherever it really suits. So let's give this a little power, and we'll have a gentle run up the beginnings of the incline. I think that's probably as far as we're going to go with that right now. We don't want any unnecessary accidents jumping off the end there. Excuse the camera wobbling there. I'm just swapping between hands. So I'm going to get a girder bridge in here, one of the 70s style ones. We'll have a look at that at the moment. So I've used these elevated piers. I had them on a layout quite a long time ago. I think we showed pictures of it just a few videos ago. I've used double the amount of incline piers on the rise, so I've used one and then chopped one up just to try and get a gentler rise. So the rise is about double the length that Hornby are recommending, or Triang are recommending. I achieved the same thing just by using wooden chocks last time. But this time I've actually gone ahead and 3D printed little blocks with screw down parts, so I can make it a bit more secure. I've mentioned in the comments a few times with people about 3D printing. It's not something I think anybody can really ignore, really. whether you're modelling or collecting. Depends how you're going to use it, and I've decided just to use it in a few places here to make these. They're a little neater and tidier. I haven't hoovered up the sawdust yet, but they've done quite a nice job. They look a bit neater than the wooden versions I was using last time. Obviously, I think we're going to get some sidewalls on here as well. We'll have a look at those. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with it so far. But we just come to a point where it was time to make a video, and I thought, well, we'll stop at this point. So let's just have a look at one of these piers. So I think these piers, they come in sets. The elevated ones were R.658, and the high levels were 659. I think they first arrived in 1978. I think they're still in production today. So what have we got? Number 7. So that's the highest one of the incline set, and then there's the high ones. There's number 8. You just see a number on there. So I think we run into number 8s at about this position here, and then I've got the number 8s chalked up, and we're going to keep them at that height just so we can clear the catenary, is my reason for chalking them up as well. The bridge just about rests on the catenary wire, which isn't really practical, I don't think. So that's what I did on the previous layout as well. So I think these are quite nice things. You can pin them down, or I've been using those track screws that we had a look at the other week. They're quite useful for that. And then the 3D printed part, you can just screw them into there. So that's just a basic bit of drawing. And these take about 50 minutes to print each, so it's not quick by any means, but they do sort of do the job. So they look a little bit neater than the crudely cut pieces of wood I was using before. Let's pop that in there. It's quite a tight fit. There we go. It just snaps in. So a little screw at either end there is going to hold those tight into position. And we screw those on down to the baseboard. But yeah, it's time for a girder bridge. So there is the green one. But just before I dismantled the other layout, I'd got hold of one of the green ones. They were first produced in red, or reddy orange. They came along in '73, and from what I've read, the early batches were in this red colour. Also the red viaduct bridges as well. I haven't come across one of those yet. And then the earlier style elevated piers, which are very bitty. I've never managed to get a complete set of those. I've only got bits and pieces. So I've decided to use these sort of late 70s ones. So I think the bridge actually looks quite smart in red, although it's probably a bit calmer in green. But very, very, very of its time, I think, in that colour. So here we have, this is one in green, and it's R.657. And here is the one I got earlier in the year, and that's R.657, single or double span, and it's got a nice price on it there, £1.35. Not quite sure how it's ended up in a Triang Hornby box coming along in '73. It's a bit of a mystery, that one, but perhaps they just had some excess boxes lying around. Again, quite difficult to get these out one-handed. Excuse the noise. There we go, and we've got some paperwork there. It's quite an interesting box. It's exactly the same size, as far as I can see, as the later Hornby one. We'll just pop that over there. So that is a later Hornby one. That is a late 70s style box, isn't it? So we'll just have a look at these parts, and we'll have a look at it constructed a little later on. So you've got the track beds. A couple of those can be done together like that to make it longer. I don't think I'll go through all the variations, and we've got some piers or supports to hold it up, a couple of those. And they twist fit, like a bayonet fit onto the end there. I think the best thing to do with this is to look at the instructions, but just look at that colour. That's something else, isn't it? Very bright. It did say the early 70s was the bright period for Hornby. But let's have a brief look at this sheet of instructions. See if I can hold that flat enough to have a look at. So it's quite a versatile bridge. There's that nice bayonet fitting there that we were just talking about. And they can be left at a skewed angle as well, which gives a lot of flexibility. Nice bit of paperwork. See a double track or across 4 tracks, and there's those earlier style piers as well. Quite lovely illustrations, aren't they? But I think we'll get that and the green one built together and have a look at both of them together. And I'm definitely going to have the red one on the layout. I don't think I'm going to have the green one in. I don't think I'm going to have a need for it, shall we say. And there is the sidewalls. These are the later 70s sidewalls coming along. 78-ish, I think. Let me just check my notes. Let's see if I can see. Yeah, R.660. Again, new in 78. And these are quite interesting things. They're very fiddly to get together, but once they're all together, it really does make a rigid support. So each length requires some track boarding to go down the sides of it. Although, if I actually look at what I'm doing, have I got any pieces of track boarding here? I seem to have got a bag out which has just got the fencing in, but when we have a look at the bridge together, I'll get the track boarding out as well, and we can have a look at that. And there's the little, shall we call them, staples, which holds the boards together. So there it is, the reddy orange bridge. It is rather a terrific colour, isn't it? By comparison, we have the green one standing nearby. It's not quite as impressive, is it? I think I really like the red one, so when the time comes and we get a bit more track there, we'll get that installed properly. And we can see I have gone ahead and made a set of chocks to keep the bridge up, just that extra few millimetres, 6 millimetres in fact, just above its regular height. So before we were looking at the sidewalls, and I'd only got the trackside fencing, not trackside fencing, the fencing part of the sidewalls, and of course you need these track boards or side boards. So there they are, the sort of T-shape in cross section. I don't know whether we can get that in focus there. There we go. So you run two of these down each side. I think as that's quite hard to focus, we should have a look at this set here. So that's how it looks. So you get two boards down either side of the track and a fencing section. So that's a two or a double straight, as you call it, or two single straights it covers. And you get the clips underneath which hold everything together, and they just slot straight onto the piers. So I think that's going to look quite smart. If you have a look back at the older videos when I had a track with System 6 before, you'll see I had a fair bit of that, and the Green Girder bridge in the layout. Just have a quick look here at these inclined piers. So you get the set of 7, and you get the tops on them, and then you get sets of 3 at the high level, the number 8s, as I call them, and then you get the sets of sidewalls here. So I believe the sidewalls are probably still in production, from what I've seen, as well as these. I'm not sure about the bridge though. I had a swift look online and it didn't show up. Again, I've been struggling with the Hornby website, being bombarded with pop-up windows. Must try that on a different machine. So yeah, the little staple things that we referred to before, should probably just have a quick look at those. So there they go. See if we can get some focus on there. So that would attach each board to the next one. So it's quite a crude system, but it sort of works. You get away without them in a straight, but on the curve you need those, so it follows around. I have noticed this boarding does go quite brittle. Some of it is quite hardened up. I don't know whether it's been exposed to a chemical on a layout or something. I've got quite a bit of it which doesn't go around curves so well, although I don't currently have a piece of that to hand. So if we just have a look further around the room, again, this is coming to the end of the first week of what's called the second lockdown here in England. And I don't know, the last video I was pointing out, I was probably going to be Christmas time before I got the chance to finish off the corner of the room now. Again, excuse the creaky floorboards. So as I find myself with more time on my hands, I've built my workbench in the corner there, and filed away and repositioned the other piece of furniture, and I'm quite pleased with that. Got my letter R back up on the wall. Excuse the crude lighting. I am going to get some different lighting in here at some point, and the 3D printer's found its way into this room. It was in a less popular position within the household, so it can't annoy anybody here. When you run, it does run for a period of time. It can be quite annoying for those who aren't quite as enthusiastic about it, shall we say. So I think it's probably time to get this diesel locomotive out of the sidings again, and see if we can collect those coaches from the electric in the siding over here. Let's just have a swift look over, see what we're planning to do. So we've got the Bobo electric here. I've already uncoupled the coaches, and let's see if we can collect those. So I just need to have a quick look at the points. I think we're good to start with. So we'll have a bit of power, see if we turn this the correct direction. spotted a point in the wrong direction already. Let's just flip that one and we'll have a quick check further down the line and make sure we've got everything as we need it for now. This curved one, that needs changing, and the one next to the girder bridge is set correctly for now. So we'll just run back to the controller, try and move slowly. Even though this is on the gimbal, it doesn't catch up all of the time. I think these gimbals are probably more designed for shooting things at, 20-30 feet away rather than sub 3 feet sometimes, so it doesn't catch up. So let's give that a little bit more power. There, now we need to go and flip that curved point. Definitely got to electrify some of these, I think. I think we've got that. You can see all my dodgy track with the missing sleepers here. It's all second-hand, all in varying conditions. I think I pointed out before, I have got a number of sections of nickel flexi. I think it's Pico flexi I had in stock from the previous layout. I'm not quite sure why I ended up with Pico track. Must put some sleepers perhaps in there. So let's back that up and see if we can collect those coaches. It sounds okay. I suppose we should probably just have a quick look. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'll just check we haven't connected back up to the Bobo electric. No, we've still got an excellent gap there. So let's see if we can get the whole train in shot there, and we'll pull her out of the sidings. Just stop that there for now, and we'll close the points behind them. We'll just have a swift look down this terrific looking train. So we've got those Mark IIs on, we've seen those before. Leave a link to the earlier video with those. Again, very much of the period, I think, early 70s. So I don't think this layout is any particular period really. We've got early 70s, late 70s, a little bit of 80s perhaps with the catenary, some 60s stuff, so it's going to be a bit of a mismatch, I suppose, of periods. Again, not quite getting the words out correctly there. She's quite a smooth runner and relatively powerful as well. I'm just going to take that heavy weight out of there before it drops out when I turn the model over. So I could do with a bit of black tack in there to hold that still. You can see the chassis has been updated since the earlier sort of trying Hornby model, and it's got the later style Ringfield motor in here. Or I say later style, it's later than the motor bogie. I'm not sure which version of the Ringfield motor this is. It went through a number of changes in quite a short period of time through the 70s. You see it gets the pickup from the trailing bogie here. And it does have that offset bogie pivot that we saw on some models a few videos back. Let's just have a quick look at that and see if we can release that. Have a look. Although this one doesn't seem to suffer the problem of lying on its side like some of the other models do. What I have noticed is, when I haven't noticed it on this layout yet, is the gearing does catch on the chassis. When it was negotiating the first radius curves at one end of the old layout, when I got this model, I did try it out, and it appears as though this gearing just clips into the edge of the chassis there. I don't know whether something's not quite right with it, or whether it's always that way on first radius, but it's relatively good apart from that. Very, very quiet runner. Just have a look in there. It's done a bit of work, and I think the traction tyres are in fairly good shape. As I say, I got this earlier in the year. It's pretty nice thing. I think the motor block, or the chassis, the motor, all drops out of this plastic frame, so all that detailing is separate. So these motors were, with the basic block, was used on a number of models, I think. Let's just pop that together, and we'll have a quick look at the service sheet. So we'll just pop the bodywork to one side there as well. Now we have a look at that chassis there. You can see the block for the dummy bogie there. So those wheels could be in different positions there, couldn't they? So this could be used in a different model as well. The two centre wheels on the drive unit are dummies as well. Now I think they cause an unnecessary rattle. They don't sort of hang square. They really do make a rattling noise over the point work, and they tend to sound like the model's derailed, I think. Not quite as smooth as it could be. So I think this is from 78. So I think this model, whilst it showed up in the 60s, in green, and it's been redeveloped a number of times through the trying Hornby period and into the Hornby Railways period, and eventually ending up with this redesigned chassis. I know I've had these in a number of videos. I'll leave links. I had the Intercity set with those Pullman coaches a few months ago, and I've got an older blue one of these with a bit of damage over there. So we'll just pop that down, have a swift look at the service sheet from the much earlier model. And you can see that's got the earlier Triang Railways developed motor bogie there with magnet adhesion, magnets between the wheels. So obviously the later one does have the traction tyres, as we've seen. But I think we've got the same basic body moulding being adjusted slightly for the new chassis. So that's the older chassis. So we'll just pop that down, have a swift look at over the moulding now, and have a look inside. So we've got the separately fitted window details. I don't think Hornby Railway's name is on the inside of this. There is an S number down there, which I can't read at the moment. I think that is, let's see if we can get that. That is S6534 or 6634. I'll type that on the screen so we can have a better look at that. I don't know whether that's quite in focus. So I think this arrangement here keeps the weight in place to stop it floating around inside the model. We've got the model number tucked in down there, R.751, and then we've got a code after it. I think that's -010. We'll just delve quickly into my copy of this very battered 1978 catalogue. The cover's definitely away, sadly. So we've got page 25 here, and we've got the R.751, the class 37. Really terrific photograph showing off that body moulding to great effect there, isn't it? Really is quite a pretty picture. But we're just looking at this information here. I'll read it out, and then I'll hold it a little closer so you may be able to read it. It's just the end bit really, referring to the silver seal motor, ring-filled motor. So the Hornby model has been enhanced by the incorporation of the silver seal ring-filled motor mounted in a new heavy chassis and runs smoothly on its traction tyres. So I think in the years before this it still had the triangle style motor bogie with a magnet adhesion. So I think 78 may have been the first year it was shown in the catalogue with the ring-filled or the silver seal style motor. But I think there were plenty of models after this in different liveries, and it's a long-running model. And I think that detailing was really nicely designed back in the 60s, and that lovely illustration there carries through onto the box. So we'll just pop the catalogue down to one side. Have a swift look at the model again. So we've had a good look over the body moulding before. It really is quite a lovely thing, and it's in that sort of matte waxy style plastic of the time of the late 70s. And the spray is reasonably fine on there, although I forgot to point out there was some significant yellow overspray on the inside of the model. Not quite as neat on that end, and we've got that ugly slot there where the whole model has been, where the chassis clips into the top part, the outer moulding there. And I think this fascination with clipping models together is really getting going here in the late 70s. So this has 4 clips. I think a single screw to the bottom plus 1 clip might have been all really sufficient to hold the model together. I say some of the models, as time moves on, really get quite elaborate with the clips. I think it was a mistake. It makes them very hard to work on as the plastic becomes brittle, I think. Now we do have made in Great Britain down there and Hornby's name. I don't know whether we've quite got the focus there. So you've got these lovely smooth running wheels here. Traction tyres, and a little bit of detail, this sort of hatched area there, just so it doesn't look like plain plastic, I think. A little bit of tank moulding there perhaps. So it really is quite a smart thing, considering it was moulded or designed as a model way back in the probably the early 60s if it came along, introduced into the catalogue in the green variant in 65. But quite something to stay in production for all those years in the liveries. So box is in fairly tidy condition. There's a little wear here, and on the back it looks where it's been stuck to something at some point. But I think that's the same or very similar illustration to the one we've just seen in the catalogue there. But it's always nice to have the box. There's no paperwork with this model, sadly. And there's the model info on the end of the box and that paper label, which has that effect to make it look like it's been screwed to the box, possibly. A price ticket there. So I think we'll just see if we can get this model back on the rails one-handed, and we'll see if we can have a little bit of running before the end of the video. I realise the video is again going on quite some time, but I forgot to mention these floating wheels on the motorised bogie. So they just float on the track, and they quite often give the sound that the model might be derailed. I realise they're there for sort of flexibility, but they are quite annoying sometimes. Let's see if we can get her back on the rails successfully. And here we go. They do make a nice sound, the wheels, when they come into contact with the rails, these shiny chromed style wheels. So you've got the 2 traction tyres giving it plenty of pulling power, and it'll probably be better off with the motor at the back with this long rake, but I think she'll be alright. So let's see if we can give her some power now. She seems to be on the rails. Let's roll her backwards and see if we can hook up with the coaches again. Not perhaps the best place to hook up with the coaches between the 2 points. Let's see if we've got a connection there. I think we're in luck there. Let's see if we can drag them all forwards. There's quite a lot of friction there, coming around that curve and through the 2 sets of points. Let's see how we do with that. No, we didn't. We weren't as connected as I thought. So I think we're going to have to intervene here. Yeah, I think we've got that now. I thought we had that before. So I'm just looking backwards over my shoulder at the controller, see if we can get this to run again now. There we have it. I think that sound is me forgetting to close those curved points over there. Yes. I wonder whether we've got a derailment going on. Let's have a quick look. I wonder whether we've got away with that. So that's the thing with this new layout. I'm still not quite familiar with all the runs, where everything goes and what needs to be changed when. So it looks like we've perhaps got away with that. Let's draw them through the points there. Again, excuse the noisy floorboards. So ideally that's going to come back around and into the station. Let's see how we do. So we just need to make a change here. So that should run past the signal box. Sorry, not that way, but that way. And into the far line in the station there. Let's give that a go. Let's just hold that there for a moment. We'll look right the way around there, and I think we'll close up those points behind so we can just have one last enthusiastic run around the outside line. So we'll get that one closed, and we'll give her a little more power now. She should come back onto that outside line quite happily. Let's see if we can get a nice slow start away from the station. And we've discovered yet another point which I should probably have thrown, but we've got it just in time. There we have it. That sounded better coming through the curved point that time, didn't it? So we're on that outside line now, and we'll just switch that point. And I'm just going to check the one to the elevated section because we haven't run around this outside section for some time. Let's see how we're set. Yeah, we're set good down there. See that in the distance. So I'll just set her running and we'll see if we can get a couple of nice shots before we say goodbye. Yeah, there's a couple of points where she hesitates a little, isn't there? But not too bad for really very, very second-hand track. Let's go around one more time with a little bit more enthusiastically. And pretty much back where we started. Thanks again for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you look back again next time, we'll try and have something else from the range to look at and a bit of an update to the railway. Goodbye now.